Brian Pick and Dan Schneider being the two culprits. Of course, most people already have known of the stuff that Dan Schneider has done, like the whole feet fetish thing that he's incorporated into his shows. This film elaborates on that furthermore and also exposes the sexism and other inappropriate things that occurred in the offices of Nickelodeon in the writer's room. But the new thing that this documentary does bring to light is the essay that was committed against Drake Bell on behalf of Brian Pick, somebody that worked on set, a well-known Nickelodeon dialogue coach. He would plead no contest to a charge of with a minor under 16, as well as performing with a 14 and 15-year-old. And this was all in connection with Bell's case. Brian would go on to spend only 16 months in prison, and he would be forced to register as a defender. One of the weirdest gigs he's had is being Pickle Boy on All That. Besides working on shows like Boy Meets World and The Amanda Show and What I Like About You, he also was a acting coach for Holes, starring Shia LaBeouf. The craziest thing about this all was that Pick was released from prison in 2005 and was hired by Disney. He was hired by the Disney Channel to work on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He did voiceover work, but he had no interaction with the crew on set. But either way, he was still working for Disney, meaning that this guy had a lot of connections in the industry and would still be able to get a job anywhere he liked in Hollywood. I mean, he found a job in a kids show after receiving all those charges and having to register as an offender. He would also go on to work in the 2008 movie Bedtime Stories, 2015's Freak of Nature, and 2012's series Anger Management. One of the craziest responses to the film comes from Dan Schneider himself, where he goes on and defends himself in the form of an interview that was called out as a PR stunt and was simply to save face. Adin Ross attended Michael Rubin's all-white party. This party is controversial and is known as the Illuminati or Ritual Party, and a lot of people have this view because of the amount of celebrities that attend and the fact that all the attendees have to wear white. And for the most part, these are A-list celebrities. So you see people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, and even Travis Scott attending. And all of this happens at Michael Rubin's $50 million Hamptons mansion, leading some to speculate that these are all just puppets in the industry that are being controlled and that they're forced to go to this party as a sort of ritual. There's also the famous picture where Lil Baby is presented in a strange manner, being held by Michael Rubin, leading some to believe that this was a humiliation ritual conducted by Michael Rubin in order for Lil Baby to be accepted into the higher tier of celebrities. Despite people believing that Twitch or Kick streamers aren't popular enough to attend these sort of parties, Adin Ross was surprisingly invited and attended the all-white party. He even announced this in one of his streams, where his chat was beginning to question him about why he was attending this sort of party and if he was in the Illuminati, leading him to laugh it off and say that it wasn't anything like that. Either way, his chat kept on calling him out and claimed that he sold his soul.
I'm basically being ran like Britney Spears. Do you understand? I'm being controlled. I am not in control anymore. I am being controlled. So now I'm on my own and I have to I'm out and I'm being controlled. Literally on puppet strings. So basically I'm getting told like a dog to do X, Y, and Z.
There's also the whole Meek Mill jumping like a bunny thing, where Michael Rubin made Meek Mill jump as a bunny for him because he lost a tennis match, adding more flame to the fire of the whole P. Diddy situation, which Meek Mill is involved in. The robots are coming. So all this time, while we were distracted by YouTube shorts and shitty Facebook memes, Mars Incorporated was making Twix double the size, trying to make us fat.
They motherfucking made the Twix double the size, trying to make us fat.
And the geeks in the AI field were advancing the field of robotics to make them wash our dishes and fold our clothes. During the 2024 NVIDIA GTC event, CEO Jensen Huang presented the new and advanced tech behind humanoid robotics, claiming that humanoid robotics will be the most useful tool for current-day society, due to them being able to fit into most lines of work that currently require humans to complete the task. The foundation model, called Groot, was unveiled as a powerful tool that would allow the AI in the robot to learn through watching videos of humans being in action, giving the humanoid robot the skill of adapting to the human world and how to understand what is going on around it. Mr. CEO also brought out these little as guest speakers. A simulation engine was also mentioned as a tool used to train the robots, described as a virtual gym that the robots could operate within to learn new things, such as walking in an unpredictable environment. The virtual world allows the robots to walk around like it's in the real world and try new things out that it otherwise couldn't do in the real world without using costly resources, like working in a warehouse. Instead of constructing the warehouse and then testing its compatibility with robots, a costly task, it could all be simulated and then tested out on a computer, allowing for it to experience unpredictable scenarios in a safe way. These robots are also learning how to understand a given scenario and then communicating that in a way for people to understand. So all that robot bullying you've seen in the past few years was for the robot's own good, so it could learn and adapt to given obstacles, or violence I guess. It was not done in vain, it was all done for the final plan, to get these robots into our homes, Amazon facilities, the local Walmart, etc. All of that just for it to dab in our face. You're late to the trend, buddy. I hope most of you guys have seen this by now, but if you haven't, you might think what you're about to see is CGI, but it's not. Figure One is the name of this guy, created by the company Figure, an AI robotics company building an autonomous general-purpose humanoid robot. And boy are they good at what they do. This is the most recent development in their mission, showcasing the robots doing everyday tasks like putting away dishes and moving more human-like compared to previous robots. It has semi-natural looking movements, but there's something off about it, giving an uncanny valley type of effect. But not only can it pick up trash, it also uses OpenAI Tick to communicate. The voice on this thing and the way it stutters when speaking is amazing and goes to show how far computers have come. It's so crazy when you realize the voice is coming from a machine. The robot is also able to observe and understand its surroundings. Corey Lynch, working on the Figure One, gave us a bit more insight of what's happening in the video, stating that the robot can describe its visual experience, plan future actions, reflect on its memory, and explain its reasoning verbally, thanks to their partnership with OpenAI. Imagine one of these things gaining consciousness in the middle of washing your dishes, and it goes crazy with a knife, thinking it's cutting up steak or something. There's also Optimus Gen 2 from Tesla, which has new hands that contain tactile sensing on its fingers, allowing for it to grab delicate objects like an egg. From comments, it looks like people have mixed emotions on this. On one hand, you have the people who are saying it's going to take their job and make them homeless, and on the other, people are saying that they want the future that they envisioned as a child to come true. And then on the third hand, there are the perverts. I personally would want to be able to get my own robot doctor so I don't have to self-diagnose on WebMD anymore. Imagine being able to leave the country without a care in the world, knowing that Figure One will take care of little Jimmy for you while you're gone. Or you're at home and get a stroke in the middle of the day with nobody around. The robot could pick your ass up and drive you to the hospital. There are so many things that a robot could be useful for if they decide to grant us mercy once they become sentient.
On it. So I gave you the apple, because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
I used to spend dozens of hours every single week proofreading. I was constantly fixing run-on said
Creepy anti-piracy screens. The anti-piracy screen, whether real or fan-made, is a screen bug which shows up on a person pirating video games, TV channels, or other media. Anti-piracy screens are designed to protect digital content from unauthorized copying or usage. Most of the time, these are creepypastas, but there are a few real screens, like the Donkey Kong series of privacy screens. In Donkey Kong Country 3, there can be found a creepy anti-piracy screen that displays a warning text not allowing you to play the game. The most unsettling thing about it, though, is the background that they used. They used the game over background. Two of the characters were in jail, and they were staring off into the distance. All this while they're encapsulated in a field of dark. And in the background, there is unsettling music playing. In the video Mario Party DS anti-piracy screen, there is gameplay footage of a mini-game, but then it's quickly interrupted by a anti-piracy screen that orders you to destroy the game card and it says to turn it off. It then glitches out and takes us to a more creepy and unsettling piracy screen, depicting Mario and all the other characters in jail behind bars, with text flashing ordering you to turn off the console. Although this was considered to be a fake anti-piracy screen, people still appreciated the art. And so people continued to make them even creepier, like the Super Mario Odyssey one that depicts Mario with a bloody face, and the text reading "You're a thief, warning, pirating video games is a serious crime, which is punishable by 10 years in prison." The Adventures of Milo and Otis. This 1986 film is about the two animals, Milo, an orange cat, and Otis, a pug. In the film, they go on an adventure, and basically they just get into trouble, having to deal with other creatures in their environment, like bears or a snake, like it's depicted in the beginning of the film, where it's around the kitties, leading people to question of whether or not the snake was venomous, and if anybody on the crew was doing anything to protect the kitties. All of this led to animal welfare organizations to allege that they committed animal cruelty and abused these animals in order to create their film and make money. A lot of people who grew up watching this movie believed it was simply a family-friendly film, only to later search up the name in a wave of nostalgia, finding that there was tons of animal abuse in the process of creating the movie. An example being the scene where the kittens fall into the river and get swept away by the current. It's said that they had to redo the scene multiple times, leading to a lot of cats drowning. There's also the infamous crab scene where a crab hooks onto a kitty's nose, and the cat reacts just as expected, screaming in pain. The cat's screeches of pain are drowned out in the American version as opposed to the Japanese version, which contains the unedited sound. There's also a scene where the bear is trying to drown the pug as it swims around it. The bear finally gets a hold of the pug and manhandles him, throwing him around. A very uncomfortable scene to watch, knowing all the information we know now. Remote viewing. Remote viewing is the ability to see details of a place and time without actually being there, meaning that you're describing in detail a place that you're not actually at, something that is supposedly testable by science if done in the correct ways, or at least that's what the believers of remote viewing believe. And the interesting thing about this topic is that the CIA actually has a few papers out on this. It's believed that remote viewing is like a lost sense in our human consciousness that anybody is able to access under the right conditions, which allow you to be open to receiving information telepathically. It's considered to be a psychic power, and many people ask for this type of service when wanting a psychic to spy on their significant other or anything else. Some people believe that there's a scientific explanation for this all, while others believe it's more of a supernatural phenomenon, leading to multiple different definitions of what remote viewing actually is and what it consists of. But here's how the CIA defines remote viewing. Studies of paranormal phenomena have nearly always been associated with controversy. Despite the controversy concerning their nature and existence, many individuals and organizations continue to be avidly interested in these phenomena. The intelligence community is no exception. Beginning in the 1970s, it has conducted a program intended to investigate the application of one paranormal phenomenon, remote viewing, or the ability to describe locations one has not visited, of which one has no prior knowledge. Now, this CIA draft report is titled An Evaluation of the Remote Viewing Program, Research and Operational Applications, and it was published on September 22nd, 1995. In order to evaluate the research program, a panel was assembled. The panel consisted of doctors from University of California to University of Oregon. In addition to their extensive credentials, they were selected to represent both sides of the paranormal controversy. Dr. Udis had published articles that view paranormal interpretations positively, while Dr. Hyman was selected to represent a more skeptical position. However, both are viewed as fair and open-minded scientists, as explained in the CIA document. The conclusion reads, the foregoing observations provided a compelling argument against continuation of the program within the intelligence community. Even though a statistically significant effect has been observed in a laboratory, it remains unclear whether the existence of a paranormal phenomenon, remote viewing, has been demonstrated. The laboratory studies do not provide evidence regarding the source or origins of the phenomenon, nor do they address an important methodological issue of interjudge reliability. P. Diddy's famous parties. So P. Diddy, otherwise known as Sean Combs, was accused of multiple things, spanning all the way from SA 2, trafficking charges, which are backed up by the 2 recent raids that occurred at his homes. While these raids occurred, P. Diddy was found pacing around and looking completely stressed out near an airport. Some people claim that he was even crying. And though this may be surprising to the general public, this was pretty well known in the rap industry due to the strange parties he hosted, where he asked people uncomfortable questions, like whether or not they wanted to party with him, which was code for something else completely, something more sinister. And many people believe that Meek Mill was involved in this somehow, that he was one of his victims, due to all the strange content there is about the 2 of them. Not to mention all the strange allegations made from other rappers in the industry. A prominent theory floating around on TikTok was that P. Diddy did something to Justin Bieber, as he was known to be his major mentor during Bieber's rise to fame, and he was known to be strange around the kid. Due to all these criminal allegations, people are suspecting that he was also behind the murder of Biggie and Tupac. But of course, being accused of one crime doesn't mean you're involved or guilty for all of them. Either way, all his karma's catching up to him. Guy finds his family through Google Maps years after he went missing. Saru was only 5 years old when he went missing from his village in Kandwa, India. Raised by a single mom and having siblings, he grew up in a pretty tough environment. He was raised in a 1-bedroom shack. While searching for food scraps near a train station with his older brother, he gets lost. Due to him falling asleep and leaving his older brother to fend for food for himself, only to be hit by a train and the older brother passed away, leaving Saru all alone. So he goes on the train trying to search for him, only to be taken somewhere else, miles and miles away. Waking up 1,000 miles away from his home village. This new place that he's at doesn't even speak the same language or dialect that he does in his hometown, so he is very confused. Other than that, he is actually pretty good at surviving on his own. Eventually, a woman that owns an orphanage finds him and takes him in. But of course, she can't locate his family because he doesn't exactly know where he's from, as he was only 5 years old at the time. Thankfully, a while after, he was adopted by an Australian couple, leading him to grow up in Australia, which granted him a lot of opportunity, though he never forgot where he was from. In his 20s, he began using the popular Google Earth, allowing him to navigate all of India little by little, due to the fact that India is massive and it's just too big to look everywhere in detail for just a short period of time. But he knew most likely using this application would allow him to find where he was actually from. The search went on for about 6 years, as he was looking through all the railways and where they led. Finally, he begins finding landmarks that look awfully similar to the ones he remembers looking at when he was a child. He decides to travel there from Tasmania to Kandwa, finding a path that he used to walk on all the time when he was a kid. He knew that he was getting closer and closer to his home. Thankfully, he finds a village, although his childhood home is in rubble. Talking to a local and showing him a picture, he finds his mother finally just around the corner. Ultimately, the mother gets to reunite with her long-lost son, and it has a happy ending. He's now in regular contact with his biological mother, and this was all possible through Google Maps.
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. Let's do this one. GTA San Andreas Iceberg.
Oh, nothing works on this acne.
Hi. Who? I'm a licensed dermatology provider from
Microsoft Store version glitch. In the GTA San Andreas Microsoft Store PC version or any other remastered version, there's a glitch that allows you to quickly beat the game at 100% in under 10 minutes or so. To pull this cheat off, you need to restart the game from scratch, find some grenades at the motel, go find the arcade minigame in the bar, start and then rapidly cancel the arcade minigame multiple times until you notice the game is starting to glitch, blow yourself up with the grenades you found earlier, die, and then try to get busted by the police while on a police vehicle.
Who took all the
after toggling
beds,
vigilante.
man?
Once you're free again, find a police bike or car and drive to San Fierro to start the NRG challenge. And there you go, you have officially completed the game, getting 100% and cash as your reward. There of course are more steps, but that's the simplified version. Bigfoot. When GTA San Andreas was released in 2004, a rumor emerged. Fans across the internet began spreading rumors of a well-known mythical creature making an appearance in the dark corners of San Andreas. Those rumors grew in popularity until they were just about as well known as the game itself, which led to players everywhere trying to hunt down Bigfoot. To this day, the true Bigfoot hasn't been found outside of modded games, and the debate of whether or not it actually exists rages on. However, if you look in the Thanks To section on the game's manual, you'll see that Bigfoot has been hiding in plain sight the entire time. The Bigfoot myth gained so much traction that an entire mission featuring the creature was created for Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. Gant Bridge. I hope you're not afraid of sharks. Allegedly, the waters under the Gant Bridge are absolutely swimming with them. For some reason, this location spawns sharks at a much higher rate than anywhere else in the game. Some people believe that this implies that people frequently jump from the bridge to end their lives. This is unconfirmed though, but still chilling to think about. Aliens. Like Bigfoot, aliens are another common myth in San Andreas. The game references them several times through voice lines, like one in the Mission Black Project, where a woman can be heard saying, "All personnel working on alien bodies, evacuate immediately," in Area 69, Rockstar's version of Area 51. Alleged alien sightings have been reported by players around Area 69, the Bone County Desert, and Aldea Malvada, and there are references to aliens in the game's story, but their physical existence in the game is still unconfirmed to this day. Moon. Every 3D Grand Theft Auto game has an Easter egg that allows you to change the size of the moon by shooting it with a sniper rifle, but San Andreas has another Easter egg that involves the moon. If you listen to the Area 53 radio show, you'll eventually hear a trucker call in and say the line, "I agree with you about the moon. We never landed on the moon. It's such a good fake." This is a reference to the real-life conspiracy theory that the moon landing was faked in 1969. Zero RC. In Garcia, San Fierro, there's a hobby store called Zero RC. The store plays an important part in the San Andreas story, but it also has a number of interesting models and textures hidden throughout it. For instance, it's possible to find action figures of characters from different Rockstar games, including Tommy Vercetti and Lance Vance from GTA Vice City, and James Earl Cash and Pixie from Manhunt. The Rockstar logo can also be seen on kites and toy boats. Zero is Cross. The voice actor for Zero is a comedian named David Cross, well known for his respected Oscar-winning role in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Guess what your Uncle Ian brought you?
12 years after San Andreas was released, Cross appeared on Hot Ones, where he was asked about his experience working on San Andreas. He stated that he hated the character he portrayed, and also the RC missions you do for him. Later on, he came back to voice GTA Online's Cult FM DJ, Zachary. Hot Coffee. When San Andreas was first released, it stoked a staggering amount of controversy when a 6 minigame was discovered. It wasn't playable at launch, but after the files were discovered, modders quickly found a way to re-implement it for the PC port that came in 2005. Soon after that, PS2 and Xbox players found a way to access the disabled mechanic. Activists and politicians demanded that the ESRB reevaluate San Andreas, and it became the first GTA game to receive an adults-only rating. Rockstar later released a version of the game with the hot coffee files removed, leading them to regain the M rating. The scene occurs between CJ and his girl. In order to enable it to occur, you need to pick her up in a car, drive her around for a bit, and bring her back home. After, she will invite you in for some coffee, and you know what that alludes to. Hanging out in bed with your jeans on, apparently. It's not that explicit, but YouTube will age restrict the video if I show the gameplay because of the sounds. I always thought that the band scene was simply an unfinished and flawed minigame, but surprisingly it's playable and contains official voice acting. So the minigame was a fully fleshed out idea in the game that was simply blocked off.
Did you ever read your file? It's a lot. Well, this isn't my first time in Beverly Hills. God, I missed you, Axel.
Lance Vance. Lance Vance is an iconic villain from GTA Vice City, and he is referenced several times in San Andreas. There's a billboard in Richmond, Los Santos, that features the character, and there's a pedestrian voice line that says, "It's time for the Lance Vance dance." Leaving one of the doors open on the back of an ambulance will also reveal the word Lance, but that might just be a coincidence. Manhunt Easter egg. If you explore the Las Venturas Police Department, you can find a picture of James Earl Cash, the protagonist of Manhunt, posted on a corkboard. It's possible that this was placed there as an Easter egg, but it has also been confirmed that both Manhunt and GTA exist in the same universe. Could James Earl Cash be on the loose in San Andreas? Or is it just a shout out? Ghost cars. A variant of the Glendale car with permanently dented panels, bumpers, and doors have been found to spawn in the woods of Backo Beyond and Angel Pine Junkyard. Over the years, players have observed these cars moving slowly in the woods with no one behind the wheel. This is how they earned the nickname Ghost Cars, but the real explanation for their movement is that they spawn on a hill, so when the player sees them, they're sliding down the hill, not being driven by a digital ghost. Mystery of Claude. GTA 3's protagonist makes a short cameo appearance in GTA San Andreas. In the mission Farewell My Love, CJ and Claude participate in a race. San Andreas takes place in 1992, which is several years before GTA 3, which takes place in 2001. After the race ends, Catalina says she and Claude are going to Liberty City, the city where GTA 3 takes place. And just like in GTA 3, Claude doesn't say a single word for his entire cameo. Mass Grave. There's an unsettling location in the Bone County Desert. Just southwest of the Verdant Meadows aircraft graveyard, you can find a pickup truck backed up to the large hole in the ground. If you get close to the hole, you can see several body bags at the bottom. GTA myth hunters have investigated the site and suggested a number of different suspects, but the grave is likely a reference to the real mafias of Las Vegas that have been known to dispose of bodies in the desert. Leatherface. It is believed that an infamous chainsaw killer is on the loose in San Andreas. At the abandoned sawmill in Red County, players have reported hearing chainsaw noises late at night. There are faked videos and mods that put Leatherface in the game, but these don't verify those reports. Allegedly, the real Leatherface attacks and kills the player from behind before they have a chance to get away. Alien Bar. A short jog away from Area 69, there's a building called the Lil Pro Ben. Yes, that means exactly what you think it means. It's an alien-themed bar complete with a rotating UFO sign. You can enter and explore the location to see all kinds of UFO images, play pool with strangers, and access a secret world. More on that later. In the back office of the bar, there is also a map depicting what might be an alternate universe version of San Andreas. Bayside doesn't appear to exist on it, but there is a small island called San Fierro Bay that doesn't appear in the game. Rockstars. Another sneaky Easter egg implemented by Rockstar Games can be seen in the night sky. If you look up at night, you'll be able to make out a constellation that forms Rockstar's logo. Lights and buildings can get in the way of the constellation, so it's easier to see out in the desert. DNMOLC1. This is the file name of a pedestrian model that can be found around Bone County. It appears to be a normal local person wearing a bandana and a necklace, but there's something off about this character. If you bump into it, it'll say, "Is this mating?" And it says other strange lines like, "You're a genius to civilization. I do not wish to hurt you. You're poised for extinction," and the line that basically gives it away, "I come in peace." Players have come to the conclusion that this is an escaped alien in disguise, which makes more sense when you realize anywhere you encounter the character will be close to Area 69. Skateboard. There are a number of clues that point to the inclusion of a skateboard at some point in San Andreas' development. There is a model, lines of code, an icon, and even a pickup point for it located in an unused burglary house. It is believed that the skateboard could have been used for transportation as well as a melee weapon. 50 Cent in San Andreas. Before rapper Young Melee took on the role of CJ, the role was actually offered to another rapper, 50 Cent. Rockstar approached 50 early in the development process, but he turned them down. Allegedly, 50 said that if he was ever to star in a video game, he would be playing himself. He followed through with that plan, and a year after San Andreas was released, we got 50 Cent Bulletproof for the PS2 and other consoles. CJ and Franklin are related. Young Melee also has another connection to the GTA universe outside of his role as CJ. He's related to Sean Fontino. the actor who brought Franklin Clinton to life in GTA 5. The two are cousins in real life, creating something of a family voice acting dynasty in the GTA universe. Mad Dog Glitch. There's a glitch in GTA San Andreas that makes the game unwinnable. The glitch occurs when the pedestrian with golf clubs cheat is activated, and the game is saved. Due to an issue with the cheat's deactivation code being incomplete, it will stay activated and cause certain NPCs to become violent. Since the character Mad Dog was programmed as an NPC, the glitch causes him to jump off the top of the building in the mission Mad Dog, killing himself and making the mission impossible. The only known ways to fix the glitch are by using a save editor or by starting a new game. Mysterious birds. There is an unidentified species of bird that flies high in the skies above Bone County, even higher than the airplane height limit. They only spawn above the player when they are in an aircraft, and because they don't show up anywhere else, players have developed the myth that these birds are mutated flying animals, or possibly even robots disguised by the government to spy on civilians, just like real-life birds. Infinite Ocean. If you jump into the waters surrounding San Andreas and swim away from the shore, you can swim for a long time, forever in fact. Instead of having invisible walls or other methods of keeping players within the bounds of the game world, like other open world games, GTA games have an infinite ocean. Water will just keep appearing in front of you as long as you swim. Hillary Clinton. One of the most prominent figures to take on Rockstar during the hot coffee controversy was Hillary Clinton. She was instrumental in the creation of the Family Entertainment Protection Act, and in general caused Rockstar a lot of trouble that ultimately led to nothing. Several years later, Rockstar got their revenge in the most Rockstar way possible. If you take a good look at the Statue of Liberty's face in GTA 4, it might look slightly familiar. Palomino Creek Shovel. The small town of Palomino Creek has a graveyard. In that graveyard, you can find one of the game's rarest weapons, a shovel. Because it only spawns in creepy locations like the graveyard, the Angel Pine Junkyard, and the Panopticon, players have linked the shovel to several unconfirmed myths and mysteries, like zombies and the grave robber. Big Smoke's Order. One of the most meme scenes in San Andreas is one where Big Smoke orders an obscene amounts of food. Players and fans still use the meme today, and some people have even created viral food challenges attempting to consume the equivalent of all the food Big Smoke orders in one sitting. However, there might actually be a narrative reason for the order. Fans have speculated that Smoke ordered so much food as a way to give the Ballas time to get to the Cluckenbill so they could kill CJ and the gang. Notably, Smoke doesn't even defend the car he's in, choosing to eat instead. This might have been the first hint that Big Smoke wasn't who he said he was.
Hell no. I'd be pissed.
Green Goo. Green Goo is a mission that has CJ use a jetpack to attack and rob a train in order to collect a jar of green goo for the truth. It's never explained what the green goo is, but because it was being delivered by a train from Area 69, was heavily guarded by government agents, and is in a strange looking container, fans have come to the conclusion that the goo must have something to do with aliens. There are references in the game to green-blooded abominations. Could the green goo be alien blood or something? The truth is out there. After the completion of Green Goo, there was a mission called The Truth Is Out There at one point in development. That mission was later scrapped though, but there are remnants of its events hidden in the game's code. The objective of the mission would have been to rescue the Truth, who was being pursued by federal agents for wandering around Area 69, referred to as Area 51 in the code. Nothing else regarding this mission exists since it was cut so early on, but with the title like that, it's possible that it could have actually revealed the aliens in San Andreas. Ghost Graffiti. In San Andreas, even the dead act up. On the back wall of the Vinewood Cemetery Mausoleum, you can find graffiti that says families for life, with E's and S's stylized to look like the number 6, effectively creating 666, the mark of the beast. The graffiti is only visible at night and completely disappears in the morning. Some have suggested that the ghost graffiti is a glitch due to their similarity to the neon signs that are also visible at night but not during the day. But the paranormal nature of the graffiti's location leads me to think otherwise. It's ghosts for sure. Everyone hates the remaster. In 2021, Rockstar released remastered versions of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. For a variety of reasons, everyone hated it. San Andreas fans were up in arms over the removal of the unique walk animations CJ had based on whether he was skinny, fat, or muscular, and the art style change applied to all of the games, and it changed how they looked and felt. The graphical change also led to in-game rain obscuring the screen, making the game basically unplayable. Combined with the avalanche of game-breaking bugs, the GTA Trilogy remaster was a total disaster. Zombie Lab. In downtown San Fierro, there's a building dedicated to zombie research. It belongs to a company called the Zombotech Corporation, and it's the source of a number of myths within San Andreas. The lobby of the building features a tall statue of human DNA, which some players believe is hinting at the genetic research being conducted there. If there was any doubts about what they're doing in this bizarre facility, there's a sign inside the building that says Zombotech Sinister Zombie Virus Research Corporation welcomes visitors. It's not really the kind of place you'd want to visit. While the building could have some ramifications of GTA universe lore, eventually it's more likely that it is just an Easter egg referencing the Resident Evil series Umbrella Corporation. UFOs. All around San Andreas, you can see blinking lights at high altitudes all throughout the day and night. If you try to pursue them, they just zoom away. They're impossible to catch, but do leave a vapor trail behind them. Because of that, no one has been able to see one up close. No one knows why the lights are there or what they are, but they are definitely unidentified flying objects in the most literal sense, even if they don't have anything to do with aliens. Pigsy. While the protagonist of Manhunt just has a picture on a corkboard, one of the game's villains might actually be in the game. A San Andreas myth that has been around since the release of the game is the presence of Pigsy somewhere in the game world. The myth gained traction in 2008 when YouTuber Darth Demontis featured a freeze frame of Pigsy in a video. Since then, players have reported seeing Pigsy around Mount Chiliad and Shady Creeks. Like Leatherface, Pigsy also uses a chainsaw as his primary weapon. There's even speculation that the two characters have a feud in the game, due to a line said by an NPC some believe to be Leatherface. If you bump into him, he says, "Watch it, Piggy." Mr. Trenchcoat. San Andreas is full
About
of
to create the
ruins.
greatest bridge
Is
right
an
here.
NPC named Mr. Trenchcoat. Mr. Trenchcoat is a paranoid, hostile man who looks like the guy in the neighborhood watch sign. His voice lines imply that he can hear voices in his head, that he's been abducted by aliens more than once, that he has a cranial implant, and more. He can even be heard talking about lizard-eyed imposters, and some players have also reported seeing him stabbing people near Fort Carson or attacking with a combat shotgun. It's not clear if he's paranoid, schizophrenic, a conspiracy theorist, or anything else, but he's definitely one of the most interesting NPCs in the entire game. Blue Hell. There are several hidden portals throughout San Andreas that allow you to access a twisted, hopeless, alternate dimension, a place from which there's no escape. Blue Hill. It's not that bad or that serious, really. Blue Hill's just a glitch that allows you to clip under the game world. It's been present in mostly every 3D GTA game, both through modding and glitch hunting. Faces in the dirt. Wherever you go in San Andreas, you're probably not too far away from something unsettling. There are many textures in the game that resemble faces, like this one that shows Pigsy hiding in the street texture, as well as many others that can be found around Blueberry, Los Santos, and elsewhere. Players have come to label these terrifying textures as demons. DYOM, Design Your Own Mission, is a mod that allows players to do exactly what it says. Create missions from scratch in game. More than
wanna hit
tens
it
of
anymore.
thousands of missions have been created using this tool, but the mod itself was likely built on the back
Let's
of
go,
a
let's go, let's
DLC
go.
expansion loader that Rockstar began developing for San Andreas. The loader was scrapped at some point in development, probably because San Andreas was already too big for the PS2 and
Gotta help my
Xbox
boy
at the
out.
time. Cut gangs. There are a total of 8 gangs present in San Andreas, but it's possible that 2 were cut from the final game. In conversations with The Truth, he'll sometimes mention the Shining Razors and the Butterfly Children. These are believed to be Vietnamese gangs that exist in San Fierro, but they are never seen and never mentioned outside of those conversations. Catalina Cabin Graves. Catalina owns a cabin in Fern Ridge, Red County, and it has some concerning lawn decorations. Just next to the house, you can find 3 graves and one of the rare shovel pickups. She mentions having boyfriends before CJ came into the picture, and it looks like she might have buried them there, right next to where she sleeps. Water pollution conspiracy. Rockstar devs are masters of environmental storytelling, which makes us believe this conspiracy might carry some weight. There's a location in Red County where you can find the BioWell, a dumping site for biohazardous and chemical waste. Players began to notice that the well looks run down and abandoned, and speculation regarding where all that waste was going began. After that, an area affected by radioactive
some
waste
food, I
was
think.
found, leading everyone to believe that the companies of San Andreas were dumping their waste into the waters in and around the area. There are many references and lines in game that support this conspiracy as well. Ed Gein Easter eggs. Ed Gein was a grave robber, killer, and an all-around freak in the late 1950s. His horrific crimes included digging up bodies from
Fudge.
graves to craft
Did I go the wrong
keepsakes
way?
from their remains, and tan their skins to use for things like furniture and disgustingly masks. He serves
I
as the
actually don't know where he's
inspiration
at.
for iconic horror villains like Norman Bates, Leatherface,
Where is
and
it at,
more
bro?
across
I'll
pop
follow
culture.
him this time.
In GTA San Andreas, Rockstar included a few references to the monster. The Flint Range subdivision has farmhouses that look an awful lot like Gene's house. One even has various weapons hidden in the barn, including
I want to watch something more interesting.
Hello, thank you for calling Giga.
Let me watch this.
video. We're gonna have some interesting r/slash
No,
let's
where'd he
not
go?
wait stories and have some PS2 gameplay in the background. I have some icebergs in the making that are coming out pretty soon, but
Hope it
other
was
than
this
that, enjoy this
way.
video and thank you for subscribing.
Was it this way?
Someone
This
broke
way.
into my house and tried to find me. A few years ago, I was renting a house in Northern California. The neighborhood
Yeah,
was
it's
just
definitely
outside
this
the
way.
suburbs. It seemed like the perfect balance of having space and having nice neighbors close enough not to feel isolated. The area had no streetlights, so it was very dark at night, especially if there were clouds blocking the moonlight. It didn't bother me though. It made my little house feel even more quaint on dark nights. I got home from work
Wait,
one
no,
day
I
in
went the wrong way.
midwinter.
Wait, no, I
It
went the
was
right
a
way.
cloudy night, so pulling up to my
Nice.
house, I saw only what my headlights and front porch light illuminated. When I got out of my car, I caught a whiff of cigarette smoke that was odd, as I had never smelled that before around the house. I didn't see anyone nearby, so I ignored it and went inside. And I just got off a shift with a few hours of overtime, so I felt pretty tired. Even though it wasn't even 7 yet, I decided to take a shower and call it a night. I woke up sometime later, sure that I had heard noise inside my house. I wasn't worried right away because my friend would sometimes stop by to use the shower after work on his way to his night class. I even gave him a spare key so he could stop by even if I wasn't home. He would always text me to let me know beforehand though, and I hadn't heard my phone go off. I reached over to my bedside table and picked up my cell phone to see if my friend had sent me a text. The bright light from my phone screen and number pad blinded me. These were the days before phones had a light sensor that would dim the screen in the dark, and this particular phone was so bright I could use it as a flashlight. Through squinted eyes, I could make out that it was 9 something, but I couldn't tell if I had an unread text or not. I set my phone aside and called out my friend's name. There were a couple of seconds of silence before I heard loud footfalls as someone started running through the bottom floor of my house. I leapt out of my bed and ran to the closets. They were already upstairs by the time I had opened the door and stepped inside. That house had 3 rooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms on either side of the hallway, the one I was in and a spare, and a bathroom at the end. The bedroom doors were both closed, but the bathroom door was cracked open. I heard whoever was in my house thunder down the hallway, past my door, and into the bathroom. Thank God he did. That gave me enough time to open the attic, access and the ceiling of my closet, and brace myself up. I had just started to lift myself up when the person ran back out of the bathroom. My feet were barely inside of the attic when my bedroom door burst open. I heard footsteps run into my room and stop. When they didn't see me in that room, they ran back to the hallway and into the other room, which had just boxes stacked in a corner, some weights, and a table where I painted my miniature models. I guess they decided that if someone were hiding, it would be in the bedroom, because they charged back into my room and turned on the light. A moment later, the closet door was ripped open. I was crouched in my attic, just a foot or so away from the access, so I could try to stop them if they started to climb up. From my vantage point, all I could see was from about their knee down. They were wearing dirty blue jeans with frayed cuffs and worn work boots. After a few seconds of looking in the closet, they stepped away and I heard a loud crash come from my room, followed by a scream of frustration and anger. That scream was the most unnerving part of the incident for me. It reminded me far too much of my stepfather, who would scream in a similar way when he lost his He would eventually be put in a mental hospital for several mental disorders that resulted in erratic and violent tendencies. The man in my house ran back down the stairs. I heard crashes and clatters as things were thrown around and furniture was knocked over. I stayed crouched in the attic. I had left my cell phone when I ran for the closet, and I wasn't certain I would climb down without him hearing. After some time, the noises stopped. I started counting slowly, and when I reached 1,000, I decided it was safe enough to climb down and call the police. The first thing I noticed when I exited the closet was the intruder had flipped my bed over. I assume it was in an attempt to find me. That was the loud noise I had heard after he stepped away from the closet. I couldn't find my cell phone, so I went to the landline by the bed and called the police. I waited in my room until I heard them call out from downstairs. The first floor was a mess, but I had expected that. Chairs had been knocked over, the sofa had been flipped, all the books, pictures, and knickknacks I had on my shelves were strewn across the floor. The cupboards in the kitchen had been opened, and all the boxed and canned foods had been thrown to the ground. As far as I could tell, though, the only thing missing was a single knife out of the wooden block in my kitchen. The police had checked the house from top to bottom. They found that the side door had been forced open by something like a crowbar. They also found a few cigarette butts along my fence line, along with some foil and an empty pen tube, which the police said people often use to smoke meth. So they think he had been watching my house for a while. I realized that he must have been out there smoking a cigarette when I got home. They collected up the evidence and told me I should stay with the family or friends that night and get that door fixed as soon as possible. I opted to just not sleep. I moved the shelf over to block the broken door and spent the next couple of hours cleaning things up. I would often go to
see this. I want something scary.
When the sawdust settles and the engine roars, the thing you care about is a job well done.
AI slave labor. Computers are not human or animal or sentient yet. They struggle to understand pictures and tell apart objects and recognize what exactly they're looking at. Of course, an iPhone can take a picture or video and capture the physical world, but what it cannot do just yet is understand and give feedback on what it's observing. Ultimately, the machine needs to learn. Machine learning. This is where that comes in. Tech companies in this field are in charge of teaching machines how to name objects, identifying human beings within an image, and even how to read emotions in a person's face, and ultimately trying to understand everything in relation to one another within an image or video. In order to pull this off though, it requires a lot of pictures. This is where the infamous ImageNet company comes into play. This is how ImageNet explains itself on its website. ImageNet is an image database organized according to the WordNet hierarchy, currently only the nouns, in which each node of the hierarchy is depicted by hundreds and thousands of images. The project has been instrumental in advancing computer vision and deep learning research.
This is not the way
data
back.
is available for free to researchers for non-commercial use. Amazon, the giant mega corporation, actually helped them accomplish this through the use of Amazon's Mechanical Turk, a place where you could find mini online jobs, a place where anybody could complete micro tasks for a little bit of change. This isn't really something that you could live off of in a first world country, but you can live off of it if you live in a third world country and you complete enough jobs. ImageNet saw the value in this and invested and used it to label their dataset, hiring over 48,940 workers across 167 countries. ImageNet had become a success, but at what cost? Well, we know what these Amazon Mechanical Turk workers did. They were given a set of images and an object to identify in these images, and they were supposed to choose the images that contain that object. The job itself doesn't seem too difficult, but actually completing this task does take time. So obviously they outsourced the work to Mturk, where on average the workers make around $2 an hour, which doesn't seem like much to those living in wealthy countries, but living in a desperate situation would make this a substantial amount. And if you have no other choice because of the place you live, this kind of seems like a great opportunity. But what you have to take into consideration is that these are contractors. These workers are hired as contractors, therefore they're not given a steady paycheck. And often these micro jobs don't pay out a certain amount that's similar every time. Often you only get a few dollars, or sometimes it could vary all the way to a few $100s, but either way it's not a steady income. Because of them simply just being hired as contractors, they don't have to get insurance or any type of healthcare. They are treated as cheap labor. Behind AI is a whole labor force of people being paid really poorly. And that's not the only dark thing about this, Saul. There's also the aspect that the images that are being used to train these models are most likely stolen pieces of work, due to the fact that these companies are well known for scraping data off the internet. Apple Vision Pro is the mark of the beast. No need to experience the real world anymore and all its awkwardness.
That's scary.
All you have to do is strap this thing to the front of your face and bam, you can now watch Disney films next to a mountain in Oregon while on a plane, or anywhere really. As YouTubers have shown us for the past month or so, people seem to be off-put by this currently and ridicule it for its price and practicality. My prediction is that it will become the norm as time progresses, just like any other device. First come the early adopters and then it goes mainstream. Developers will create something that people will want to experience, and sales will start to climb. Is this product a good thing for society? Is the real question. As of now, the masses aren't entirely compelled to spend a few $1,000s on such a device just yet, but many people are speculating that the price tag will drop to appeal to a larger market, meaning more people will be inside of the augmented reality. Imagine a public bus filled with people wearing variations of this headsets, all in their own little world. Pretty dystopian, right? In Casey Neistat's video, The Thing No One Will Say About Apple Vision Pro, he goes into the public realm and uses the headset while carrying out everyday tasks, like walking on the streets, taking the subway, and interacting with people around him. And a key takeaway from this video is that Apple has managed to almost perfect augmented reality, enough to make an everyday Joe be able to use it in public without much trouble. Of course, there are a few bugs here and there, but they'll smooth out given time. You don't have to be a computer or AR geek to utilize the Vision Pro. Apple has made it simple. As technology continues to embed itself into our lives, will human beings cling to natural reality or give in to the ease of using a technology like the Apple Vision Pro? Though for right now there aren't enough practical AR or VR apps to justify spending $4,000 plus for this, A couple of years into the future might prove otherwise. There's no concise vision of what it's supposed to be used for. It's mostly up for developers to decide its future. And for now, it seems like the possibilities are endless. Imagine being able to go and explore Greek ruins, and there being an overlay of ancient Greek peoples walking all around you, and being able to interact with them, like a time machine of sorts. Or being able to follow instructions overlaid on the thing you're working on, like on a car or computer. It would make things so much easier. Or imagine watching a sports game and getting to experience courtside seats through the lenses so you'll actually feel like you're there, saving you from having to deal with long lines and finding a good parking space. There are so many good concepts out there, but how about the more dystopian ones? The main concern is that it will socially isolate people even more than they already are. Sooner or later, they'll be able to create realistic holograms of people and make it seem like they're right in front of you. So why visit them when you could just call them on your Vision Pro? And if you're rich enough, why even leave your house at that point? If everything you want to experience could be done through the headset. These isolated experiences are just that. They are isolated when using the device. Everyone else around you who doesn't have the tech can experience it. It's almost like you teleport into another realm. You disconnect from the natural world and experience a digital one. Though Apple claims that they will bring us even closer together and make using technology more social, at the end of the day, what's more social than actually meeting a person face to face and talking to them? It's interesting how putting on something that looks like a blindfold claims it will make us even more interconnected. Sooner or later, people will find the experience they get through the Vision Pro more interesting or exciting than the experience they have in the real world. And what do you do when someone doesn't want to disconnect from the device because they have become addicted to the simulation? Will that be a cause for concern, or simply another social dilemma like social media addiction that causes things like mental health issues? And when it becomes the norm, what's the appropriate time to introduce these devices to kids, claiming that it could be a powerful tool for education? Everyone gets an Apple Pro, logs into a virtual classroom, and there you go. You don't have to pay for public education buildings anymore. Everything can be done from home, and could probably make education more bearable by offering students a hyperactive interactive machine that could be used to provide a more visual example on what is being taught. It will take education to a whole other level by improving student engagement, and with the help of AI, it could possibly eliminate the jobs of many teachers. But there's also the question, what are the long-term effects on the human body of having screens stuck to our eyes for long periods of time? It just can't be good, right? There aren't many long-term studies on that just yet.
Switch to Chrome to protect yourself from malware, so you can surf without getting phished. Fast, safe, yours.
Shut up.
Too Mad's death. If you don't know,
Too
the
Mad.
YouTuber Too Mad, known for his popular meme,
Oh, hey. I just gotta go to bed.
Good night,
I know we
girl.
couldn't Skype tonight, but
That's alright.
good
Good night, girl.
I'll see you tomorrow.
is
I think
now
I'm too
dead.
mad.
He passed away
Oh,
from
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
apparent
Oh, yeah, yeah,
overdose
yeah.
of who knows what. It's still a mystery as the police hasn't come out to reveal what the overdose was caused by. But many in his community are suspecting that it was ketamine due to quite a few reasons, or possibly mixed with another drug that led to his overdose. There's also a viral video going around depicting Too Mad tripping on whatever drug he's on, and this is suggested to have been the day before he passed. Although the date was later debunked when the original recorder provided screenshot proof that the video was taken on the 11th of January. The guy who recorded the video also thought he was just on
don't die,
weed.
bro.
Instead, he later found out that it was
No!
most likely ketamine and fent.
Oh my gosh, bro, do not die, bro. Oh my goodness. Get in. Ah, did he kill him, bro? There's no way. Oh, I knew it, bro. I knew it. Bro. Yo, what is that laughing? I got scared for a sec. Come on, man. You're tripping your balls off. Ow.
What you gonna do with the plastics? Yeah, bro, you make thing he in Dead Island. What the fuck weapon is he making?
That's not very nice, bro.
What is he?
Don't even, bro.
What?
Be careful.
What is he gonna do with that dongo? What?
There was also a Reddit post calling out his ketamine addiction 7 months prior to his passing. Reading, I was reading through the texts Too Mad spammed Billa with. One of those messages seems like a vent and some sort of attempt at an apology. 0.28. And Too Mad mentioned using ketamine. 200 milligrams of ketamine is quite a high
Dang,
dosage, causing out-of-body
Oh,
experiences
shoot.
and ego dissolution. And paired that with 3 to 7 times a week usage, other fix of ketamine also explain Too Mad's overall behavior since he blew up. Happy, detached, relaxed, and so forth. I feel like ketamine abuse perfectly sums up Too Mad's recent behavior. Regular use of ketamine can also cause depression, which could explain why he stopped uploading and why his house looked like a complete mess and why he constantly tweets. He mentioned that he goes to a therapist, maybe because of aforementioned depression and other issues, but this is just mere speculation. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. So in conclusion, if Too Mad wasn't actually lying about his ketamine addiction, it perfectly sums up his current state. I hope that Too Mad has started dealing with this issue in any way, and I'm not trying to justify his actions with Billa. Just curiosity. The real mystery lies in the accusations made by Jameski, a fellow YouTuber, making a tweet after Too Mad's death, alleging that Too Mad was a predator and a alleged essayist. Over the past few years, he tried to murder me multiple times for helping the police and detectives in multiple states to investigate a lot of horrible things he's done. He wanted to take out multiple innocent lives by getting behind a wheel and going head-on on the freeway while being high on illegal drugs. He didn't succeed once he overdosed before killing anybody, so he tried it again. Despite trying to murder me and multiple innocent lives, I've been trying to help law enforcement to make sure he's safe, doesn't get hurt, and doesn't harm anybody. Please remember that he is he continued to prey on the vulnerable even after the police got involved, including a 13-year-old in mental hospital. The tragedy doesn't excuse any of his actions. I will address a lot of stuff when I fully collected my thoughts. Past few months have been a total mess and reason why I ended up in ER. Please.
Planet from you. Planet shader, I'm tripping. Yo, I can't remember, bro. I don't know.
Please give me time. And this tweet went pretty viral, garnishing over 50 million views and over 100,000 likes. And most people took this at face value because they believed him, as he was Too Mad's ex-roommate. That is, until people kept on saying that he was holding a grudge, and why didn't he explain all of this before Too Mad passed away? And he replied back saying that he was in fear of his life. His second tweet read, "When my friends and colleagues say that my life was in constant danger, they're not talking about just threats. Just within a short time frame, I had a bullet hole put in my office window, was told to wear a concealed bulletproof vest when I'm in public, witnessed a SWAT team with ballistic shields outside of my home, and had to cooperate with an anti-terrorism unit when the R-word made implication of people's lives being in my control at TwitchCon, leading to the entire convention center being surrounded by police SUVs. This isn't even all things I, my colleagues, and my close friends had to endure. Just to get a perspective. I don't think I need to explain why I was not talking about it publicly, but if multiple people coming forward confirming what I said is true isn't enough, a lot of information is now public records and can be accessed by anyone. There was never a lawsuit at any point. There were court orders that led to multiple cases, civil and criminal. Once again, there has never been a lawsuit. A lot of these things are public records and always have been. It was never about money. He lied to the public, and some morons ate it up despite court cases being public records. The justice courts in multiple jurisdictions deemed it necessary to provide restraining orders to protect the victims / witnesses and those around them. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, and it was met in full. The courts issued multiple permanent restraining orders for many of his victims, as he was vicious, unhinged, and violent, going out of his way to hurt not just his victims, but those who were close to them, all just to inflict maximum damage on everyone he's hurt. Tumat has been caught destroying evidence, sending death threats to witnesses, and fabricating stuff to brainwash his audience. The judge shut down his lies during the hearing, and all of this is public records. Just a reminder that this guy got caught hiding in the court's cafeteria when he realized he would get to see one of his victims in person again. This is the same guy who was dancing on the grave of a murdered child just a year ago.
I gotta go to sleep. It's Planet Shaper. I have to check because it's been way too long. I don't know. I don't remember anything. Oh, I forgot to say goodnight. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let me check. Actually, I'll leave Minecraft up. Go to chat. Bro, I got the same. I think that's crazy. Alright, let me check. Yeah, I don't remember anything, bro. I'm gonna just download a texture pack and I'm gonna get off.
This is the same guy who secretly recorded multiple videos of him committing crimes, including sexual assault and pointing a gun at one of his victims. He shared those videos with friends, but was mortified to find out the court had gotten a hold of them. This is public records once again. I was told the arrest warrant was supposed to go just before the final overdose. There are multiple reasons why it took so long. The main reason being that the investigation involved many jurisdictions in multiple states, and the amount of everything they had to go through has been insane. Outside the direct messages, phone calls, and live streams, he tweeted over 17,200 times since early August alone. Also, some people interfered with the investigation and made
This is probably better than Job
up today. While a lot of information is public or will be soon made public by the authorities, please don't bring up the victims' names and don't wish ill will on Tumat's family. I can't stress enough that despite what he put me and others through, leading to my health complications that made me end up in the ER, I've been actively making sure he doesn't overdose. And while the DAs were preparing everything for prosecution, we were going through great lengths to make sure he doesn't get hurt and gets the help he needed. Meanwhile, his rabid fan base has been encouraging him to continue what he has been doing, attacked his victims directly, and encouraged others to do the same. This isn't the hill you should die on. Attached to the tweet is some photo evidence of the stuff he was talking about. Initially, this second tweet got Jamesky a little bit more support as it provided clear evidence, although some claimed that it was just too early and too soon after Tumat's death to be doing all this. Some also claimed that it was just too little evidence and that there was no hardcore evidence that he was a predator and that he was a stalker and or essayist. A lot of people on Twitter were just not taking Jamesky's word for it. They needed some proof. They needed some hardcore evidence of every single thing that he alleged. Minx, another content creator, then started to tweet out stuff in support of Tumat, saying that she doesn't know how she feels and that she was scared of 2Mad as he was mentally ill and he just didn't want to accept it. And keep in mind that they were actually friends, so they did know each other and she did know him on a personal level. All of this led to Minx calling out Jamesky, saying that it was just too soon to be talking about 2Mad like this, saying that as a person who experienced it firsthand and spoke about it, I think this tweet is freaking insane, not even 10 minutes after they announced his passing, leading to more people expressing sentiments like this over Twitter. And a lot of people took her seriously until she dropped this infamous TikTok, where Minx herself makes fun of the current situation. It's like she's not taking it seriously and taking it seriously at the same time. The contradiction was just too insane for people to take. Jamesky would then reply with a whole nother tweet replying to Minx and stating that she was basically interfering with the investigation, stating, "Just got full confirmation that I can tell the public you actively interfered with the investigations and assisted 2Mad by revealing him confidential information provided by the authorities, and that you also encouraged him to off himself for hours, days before the tragedy. You even talked about it on streams." People started calling out her contradiction, as she was shown to support 2Mad after his passing, but before, she was just fine with seeing him go. Where did this sudden support for him come from? Defending herself, she decided to post evidence of this harassment by 2Mad and how she was a victim too, and that they should sympathize with her as well. Images of 2Mad holding weapons can be found on this tweet, and there are several people saying that most of these are just airsoft guns, and this could be proven with videos of him actually playing with them and revealing that they're actually airsoft guns, although more people found videos of him holding actual guns with bullets inside of them. She also added missing phone calls of supposedly 2Mad calling her over and over again on no caller ID to not give himself away, and you could see these calls are pretty close together: 3:26 p.m., 3:21 p.m., 3:19 p.m., 3:17 p.m. It's something 2Mad is notoriously known for doing when he goes through these types of mental breakdowns. Either way, most people on Twitter concluded that Minx wasn't a 100% reliable source, so they didn't take her seriously as much. Jamesky would then post video evidence of 2Mad with real firearms, meaning that yes, 2Mad was not only a stalker, but he also had dangerous things that he could use, which made it even more real to people in how serious of a threat 2Mad actually was to society, if indeed he did everything that was alleged. Though one might think that 2Mad was just an internet celebrity that put on an act in order to entertain his audience, he was always like that. He wasn't any different in real life. He was just like how he was in his videos. A great piece of evidence to support this comes from 2Mad's former editor, one that started in 2021. He posts a tweet stating, "The last few days have been very difficult for me. I first started editing for 2Mad at the start of 2021, and although I had no real skill at the time, he was extremely patient and helpful with me. He allowed me to grow my skills over time while working."
Today I'll be